Ryan from Rock Show Addiction, and I'm with Nik from Picture Atlantic.
Hello.
Okay, so where did you learn to sing?
I started singing when I was younger, and I would sing to the radio, actually. And I would try to match the pitch perfectly with each song. And I wasn't very good at harmonizing, but I would just sing along to the radio, and then, along to albums later on. But mostly when I was a kid, it was the radio.
Because your tone is perfect.
Thank
you
you.
didn't have any singing lessons or anything?
Recently I've had 3 singing lessons. Just because it's a good idea for anybody really to take singing lessons. There's always stuff you can learn. I'm not ashamed to say I take lessons. Most people are like, no.
Really?
I was born this way. It's perfect. But no, there's always things I can learn, so I'm taking lessons here and there.
And then how did you guys all meet?
Pretty much we were all in doing music or doing bands when we were younger. And I was doing just acoustic music by myself. And the other guys were in hardcore bands and stuff. And then they were just kind of like, man, I'm so tired of hardcore music. And so they wanted to do their own thing. And they actually listened to my music. I put it on MySpace. And they were fans. So they said, oh, you should sing for us. And so I tried out, and they tried to make it seem very oh yes, well, we'll call you kind of thing. But I knew I was in it. They were my friends. So. Yeah.
Where did you get the name from?
So that is a good question. Back in the day, we were what should we name our band? And at the time, it was the summer, so we were going to the beach a lot. So Atlantic sounded way cooler than Pacific.
Sure.
And also there was a Thrice song called Atlantic that we all really, really liked off their Vesu album. So we really liked that song, and something about Picture Atlantic got brought up. I think our old drummer came up with that name. So.
And then what inspired you to start being in a band and start singing and everything?
When I was younger, I actually wanted to be an actor, but I did acting. I actually did camps and plays and things like that. But I just started to sing, and then I was like, oh, this is cool. And whenever I would watch people I remember watching that show Austin City Limits and seeing people rock out on that show, and I was like, oh man, that looks like so much fun. And I think I probably rocked out in the mirror when I was a kid or something. But then that was kind of it. And also I really just loved music and really liked playing it, and yeah, so that's kind of how I started.
So who's your biggest inspiration for your band?
One of them is a band and person is Aaron Weiss from Me Without You. I really love Me Without You a lot, and I really am super inspired by his lyrics and just by the music. I think the music's really passionate. And it's also kind of something that a lot of people don't get, because it's pretty raw music in a certain sense. And so, Me Without You, I will admit it, I really like Radiohead and Coldplay. You could just guess that by listening to our music.
Yeah.
But no, I really, really do like those bands. And Damien Rice was a huge inspiration to me, just because he was so quiet, and most bands were really loud, and he was so quiet. All his recordings are so quiet. And Bob Dylan, just another lyrical thing. When I was younger, I went through this crazy Bob Dylan phase, and it stuck with me. So, yeah, the band shares similar artists and stuff like that.
And speaking of lyrics, why did you decide to put all your Greek mythology names in your songs?
I mean, for me personally, I don't really like the idea of a concept album for the band. I wouldn't feel like I could really do that and be not serious with it, but be oh yeah, this feels natural. Mm-hmm. So. It just kind of happened, and a lot of people are is this a concept album? Because it's got all this Greek mythology, but really it's just because I really liked Greek mythology, and the thing about it for me was that all the characters in Greek mythology were very human. It wasn't really very fairy tale. It was very brutal and realistic, and people are always killing each other and committing adultery and things like that. And not that I'm into that kind of stuff. But at a time in my life when I was writing a lot of songs for the album, there were certain situations that were very similar to Greek mythology, and I just liked the idea of it being so real, and almost a little shocked at how my circumstances actually fit with some of these stories. So I kind of added that in. But I never intended to do it. I was just let's just write an album, and I was terrified to come up with a name. I didn't know what it was going to look like. So.
Yeah, that's cool. What's your favorite song to perform live?
I think Cassandra Castaway actually is my favorite song to perform live, because it's kind of challenging for the band. It's our most I guess you could say technical song. I mean, it's not like math rock or anything, but it's like it requires some dynamics, and also I really like the melody and the lyrics. And but I think I like, honestly, it sounds cheesy, but I really enjoy like all of them. Yeah. I don't think I would feel comfortable playing a song I didn't really like.
If you could play a show with any bands, who would you play with and why?
I would play with, again, to reference Me Without You, I'd probably want to play with Me Without You, because somehow that seems most realistic to me, because they're not like a mega pop band, mm-hmm. and I could imagine myself like, like scooching up to one of them at a show and being like, hey, could you check out my album? And like, hopefully, they'd be like, oh yeah, awesome. So that, or I don't know. I couldn't really say, to be honest. Like, that's like a weird like thing for me to think about, because I never know what's gonna happen with the band. But ideally, probably Me Without You. Maybe open for like some huge band like Kings of Leon, or like Radiohead or something, just for kicks and giggles.
Well, you already opened for one of your inspirational bands. Jeez.
Way to slide that in there. Yeah, no, yes, we did. Would you care to tell them, the audience?
They opened for Coldplay, and they personally picked them out of all the local bands.
Yes.
Yep.
She was going to get around to that anyway. I just thought I would let her introduce that. Yeah, we opened for Coldplay, which is really cool. And they were all nice guys. Like, I didn't really get to like hang out. I'm not like best buds with them or anything, but like, they actually talked to us and stuff. And everybody on their like road crew was really nice. They're all British, so they were like, "Oh, like, good job, guys! Like, that was awesome." And
I love British accents.
Yeah, it was very fun. It felt like being in London.
Yeah. And then, since you did that, and then you're voted as one of the best bands on AbsolutePunk.net, what's your biggest accomplishment you think so far as a band?
Oh man, I think just like a public like achievement is just making the album, because it took like a year. And maybe a little bit longer than that, just because we like sat down and kind of like went over the songs and did production and was like, which part should we keep? So I just feel I feel like that's kind of like our greatest achievement in a way. It's just the album, because I think we're all like really happy with it.
And you guys have a favorite place that you like to play? Or
I don't know, because there's actually, I've been realizing more and more lately that like all venues are like very similar, and they all kind of blur into one evil venue. And so, I mean, I enjoy playing places like Bottom of the Hill. Like when we play Bottom of the Hill, it's always really fun, because there's like a stage, but it's also very compact, and people can kind of see you, and you can kind of like see the crowd's reaction. So like places like this even are really fun. I feel like when you play huge, like the bigger it gets, it's like the weirder it becomes, I think, from both sides.
HP Pavilion.
Yeah, that was actually really weird, because like I could see people. It was actually weird. It was huge, but then when I'd actually look at the front row, it seemed really close, but then I'd look back out, and it was like this weird, like one of those like magic eye illusions or something. But yeah, it was really cool. This sounds really weird, but I don't know how I would feel if we started doing that. Like, I feel like playing smaller shows is like really fun.
Yeah, really intimate.
Yeah.